As much as this topic's been done before, I don't think you know my personal tips to save money and be frugal in 2026. If you want to see these gold nuggets, stay on for more. So my first gold nugget is a bit different to your typical advice. It's to make friends and make community. That seems weird. Why would making friends and making community save you money? Doesn't that mean that you need to go out and spend money to make friends? Well, hopefully you're not someone who's in it for a short time and you see the benefits of having friends over a long period of time. Not only do studies show that enriches your life, having a strong community and that sense of village and your people. However, it's come for me helped me in so many ways. For example, if I've gone to an event or a party and I need a ball gown or a glamorous outfit as such, I have typically worn all my dresses in my wardrobe that I've purchased in and out, and I'm just looking for that extra item that's able to tie me through without having to purchase one. And we know that events can be so expensive as they are with transportation, accommodation, and it really helps to have that outfit borrowed. So I have been able to borrow dresses for weddings that I've attended. I've also been able to borrow tools, which has been really helpful. So if there's that one odd job around the home that you have been putting off because you just don't have the tool, go into Bunnings or your local hardware store and you realize, oh, it's $200 for me to use this tool once. Having that sense of community and people that you can rely on to share resources is paramount. Not only have I learned so much from my friendship group about life and different types of advice that they've given me, not just about money, but about personal growth, about friendship in general, and how they've stayed the test of time. I do believe that the most rich thing that you could do in your life in 2026 is to have that community, have that friendship group, and you just don't know when you're going to need to call on that friendship in times that are tough. And really trying to have that really strong sense of community is important. And that also obviously means that you'd also need to give back, but hopefully you find friends that are able to reciprocate anything, that same friendship level that you want to build. Obviously, the longer you've known someone, the richer typically the friendship, given that you've got so many life experiences together and you've probably seen each other in more highs and lows than an initial friendship. And so that's my first pearl of wisdom, is to build that sense of community. The second one is to join your local library if you haven't already. And this has been so great for myself because I am someone who I wouldn't say is an avid book reader, but it's the only way in which I truly feel in a meditative, peaceful state. I find that with social media, it's really hard to get into a book. And so being able to borrow 10 books at a time and just pick up a book, if it doesn't suit me, I go to the next book, and not having to have purchased every single book. I find that just amazing to be able to have that sense of entertainment and relaxation that's free. For me, in my personal library, you can also borrow DVDs, computer games, magazines. It's not just about your hardcover books. I'm able to hold books that are up and coming. So books that are not yet released, I can get straight onto that and be one of the first people by knowing what's coming out that year. And some local libraries actually allow you to borrow tools, which is incredible. The third item that I would recommend, which I have never heard this advice before, but let me know in the comments if you have. But my greatest asset in our house is our chest freezer. I just find it has just saved us so much money in time and effort. So one, it allows us to not have to throw things out because we just pop it into the freezer. Two, it allows me to shop for meat every 2 weeks, which allows me to not keep going to the shop and getting those little bits that keep creeping in. I just set all the meats that I need and I buy them in bulk, and then I only do a small shop for fresh veg and fruit weekly. But alternatively, if you're happy with snap frozen peas and there are so many great options now that have that. So you could have veggies for a month even. It always allows me to get the deals, the special at the shops. If meat's like almost at its due date, I'm able to stock up on that and put it in the freezer, and I can eat that well and truly past its expiry because it's been frozen. And then I also am able to be really strategic. If I see I have a specific meal that I like to have with my work lunches, I don't actually meal prep, but I do like these soups that are from the specific shop. And when they go on half price, it's always awesome that you can just literally buy them in bulk, put them in the freezer, and then you've got your lunchtime meals at $2.50, which is a bargain in this economy and this day and time. The other item would be, so that's a bit of myself. I obviously have the space to have a chest freezer, but it is just so great having food, because having that excess food and not being like, oh, we haven't done the weekly shop, or we're just a bit busy this weekend, we're not going to get to it. Just having that excess food there so that you're not like, oh, we'll just eat out before the show instead, or we just are able to continue to make savvy decisions because the food is there. The fourth item that I have, which is definitely no secret, but it's a hard one to, I guess, get to terms with because it's about habits. And if habits were so easy, everyone would be so efficient in life and everything would be grand. But it's to plan better. So ultimately, you're paying a convenience tax when you're doing things last minute. For example, one of the easiest ones that I seem to get into is buying gifts last minute. I never plan to buy the gift earlier, or the card, in fact, and then I end up being at the shop and there's a $7 or a $10 card versus the dollar cards that I walk past on my everyday. So if you plan better, you're able to save more money in the long run because you're not buying stuff that's convenient. It's a convenience tax. So for example, if you plan your grocery shop better, in that you are able to buy all the things that you need for the week because you've planned your meals, you're not then buying it at the local grocery, which is triple the price, but a walk away, in which case you're paying a lot higher money for that item. And that's just simply a convenience tax. So what I would recommend is jotting down high level what large items, start with the large items you need in the next 3 years, for example, whether it's a holiday, whether that's a new phone, whether that's a car, and create a separate bank account and then work out with ChatGPT how much you need, what car you want by looking it up, how much it is, and then work backwards from there on the weekly amount you need to set aside to put that money away. So for example, if that is meaning that with your current expenditure, you're not able to afford to put away the amount you need for the car, you might need to, for example, reassess your needs, or you might need to pick up extra shifts. That might be the sacrifice that you need to do in order to not take on debt. The only debt you should be taking on is a mortgage. You should not be paying for your car on finance. Then the next item would be know your city and read the Reddit pages for what is, I guess, great for the locals, local finds, local gems, and how to get cheap tickets through that. So this is less helpful for those that aren't necessarily in my city, so I'm going to try and keep that broad. But what it means is, for example, does your city do $10 half price takeaway meals after a certain time of the day? In which case you could pick up a few and have them for dinner rather than getting them out at takeout, or you could get it so that you can have it the next day for lunch. Or are your museums and galleries cheaper at certain times, certain days? What night does your local cinema have cheaper tickets? Do you have rush tickets to the theatre shows that you could buy for half the price? Does your local community put on free events, community board games? And can you volunteer for the festivals or events that you want to go to and then go for free? These are the type of things that I cannot specifically let you know, but personally I live in Brisbane, so I could do a Brisbane specific, what I know helps me to save money in my specific city. But in Australia, if you're in Australia, these two apps help me to eat out, and that's Eat Club and First Table. Eat Club is approximately 15 to 40% off on meals, just anywhere, either dine-in or takeaway. And then First Table is if you're either really early in your booking or really late, allows them to turn the table again, which they otherwise wouldn't, and you get 50% off food, which is incredible. I've been using that for probably a decade. The next one would be to go Marie Kondo. So if you haven't already, have a look at the Netflix Mary Kondo. She's amazing. I remember watching her when she launched her Netflix show. It's about what gives you joy in your life and ultimately decluttering. So what I would suggest, and this is just my little hard quick rule, would be sell everything you haven't touched in the last 12 months that isn't held for sentimental reasons. So, for example, if you have a passion project to learn the guitar, but you have not touched the guitar in how many years, that might be your sign to let it go. You can always buy a guitar again if you then choose that you will take it back up, but be realistic with what you have in your life and your time. Those XX clothes, those ones you've never worn, do something for someone else and do good. Offer them to your friends to see if, firstly, they would benefit from that, or otherwise give it to your local donor shop. I frequently visit the donor shops and benefit from them, and I always see lots of different people in those. You can make an outfit last 3-4 people if it's made from quality clothing in the first place. It's just such a great feeling to give back. And if you're hoarding any 2 mowers, I don't know, an unworkable fridge, unworkable washing machine, sell it for parts, sell it on Facebook Marketplace or your equivalent trade post and get some change for that. And then remember when you get that change, how good that feeling is, and to then start conscientiously buying. Do not clutter, do not hoard. That is a lifestyle shift. It's not easy to let go, but that money is sunk and it's not giving you any value. You're better off selling it, giving someone else the privilege of owning it and doing something with it, and then you yourself moving on from it. The last one kind of entwines with the Marie Kondo mindset, but it is just the shift in mindset. And I'm going to rattle off a few things, and maybe some of them resonate with you. Some might think I'm crazy, but that's okay. So first one, and it's been said a million times, but don't lifestyle creep. Get a 10% raise at work. Don't 10% increase on your expenditure. Easier said than done, I know, especially with inflation and the way in which it's harder to buy a house and other things like that, but really don't lifestyle creep. If you get a bonus from work, really try not to save it. Don't see it as treating yourself. See it as your income. That's your income. That is part of your package. It's called a bonus, but really it's just part of your salary. You wouldn't just spend your salaries frivolously. So think about what you can do with that bonus money. Eliminate those influences in your life that tell you you're not enough and that you should be buying more and that materialistic goods make you happy. For example, maybe just delete social media off your phone. Allow yourself treats that you earn, but not from, for example, going out for a walk and thinking you need a coffee and therefore you deserve one, or going to the shops to look around. You don't need to buy anything. Be disciplined. Pride yourself in your discipline. If you know that you like to have a coffee and you see other people in a coffee, get a travel mug. Make a nice coffee from home. Get on top of your finances. It's not about adulting. It's just negligence. Track, budget, know where your super is if applicable. This isn't adulting, just do it. Don't take on debt unless it's your mortgage. I said this before, but if you already have a finance of a car, pay it down quick stat. You're going broke doing that. Know yourself. If you're a last minute person to try and find a gift or do anything, know that you are spending more money by doing that. And by not being organized and diligent, you pay a price. And this is my tips on how to live frugally or how to save more in 2026. Let me know your thoughts in the comments in the description below.